All right, in this video, I'm going to be covering the squash I'm growing for the 2025 season, as well as a companion plant I haven't grown before to try with it, see if it helps with pest pressure. Who knows? Let's go with the new varieties first, because I've made videos of the old varieties before. So let's start with the zucchini, since last year was a terrible zucchini year for me, and I'm hoping to solve that. That is the Mexicana Zucchini. Now, if you notice, it's kind of a pricey zucchini, and there's a reason. It's a hybrid, rated extremely well, has excellent disease resistance across the board for a whole lot of different diseases. Rated really well, great flavor. It's a grayish type zucchini. I mean, there's kind of a description of it. It's a bush type, which, like, honestly, all zucchinis are kind of like bush type. It's supposed to be more open for easier harvesting, probably less pokey. Like I said, superior disease resistance, supposed to have a nutty flavor, really good texture. Anyway, if you look up the reviews of it, people love it. Like, it's rated like super, super well. So, yep, I'm gonna give it a try. Yeah, it turns out well. It's worth the price. It's only grow like one zucchini plant at a time, if not two. I mean, they produce so much, you just get tired of it. So, Mexicana Zucchini Hybrid. Let's go with another one I haven't grown before, and that's the Table Ace Hybrid Eggcorn Squash. So it's a variety that's been around for a long time, but it's rated really well. It's kind of a description of it. Uniform size, supposed to be very productive, really good flavor. It's a mix between a bush and vine type. So of eggcorn squash, you have types that are like really viney, ones that are like more bush type, and all the ones that are solely bush type tend not to have the best flavor. But the Table Ace is kind of like an in between. It's supposed to have good flavor, productive. It is a hybrid, uniform. I'm gonna give it a try. So Table Ace Eggcorn Squash. Another one I haven't grown before, really readily available, like price wise. You can get this one at Walmart and save yourself some money. Is the Waltham Butternut Squash. Now, this variety is open pollinated. You can save the seeds from it. It's one of the most grown butternut squash there is. It's used, I think, probably commercial production, probably not anymore, because all the commercial ones have probably gone to hybrids, especially for disease resistance and pest pressure. But anyway, one I've grown always before was a French variety called the Sucrine du Berry, which you can look. I've made a video on that before in kind of previous seasons. Sucrine du Berry burnt squash, really pretty looking, stripe, really nice looking color, super deep orange in the inside. Actually, does really well. But the problem with this, why it's great for soups, uh, soups and other, like liquid type products you can make with it. It tends to be a little high in the moisture content in the inside, so no matter how you roast or air fry it, always kind of turns out kind of mushy. Versus the Waltham butternut squash is really prized for having kind of like a dry flesh, but it's definitely not going to be as deformed. It's more of like a yellow orange versus that super rich, like high beta carotene, rich orange color. So, but plus, be a really good variety to grow. So I'm gonna give it a try. Um, Sweet, dry, orange color. But what I really like about it is that dry, maybe better for roasting than air frying. And it's probably still be okay for soup. So I haven't grown it before, but gonna give it a try. So let's go to the ones I've grown before. Honey nut squash. Once again, open pollinated. The thing you got to keep in mind is squash can easily cross pollinate just depending on the variety. So I'm gonna give you an example. Like, there's different families of squash. So butternut squash, honey nut squash, and a lot of your pumpkins. Not all pumpkins. There's a lot of different. There's several families. I've kind of covered this before, but you just need to look up what family the particular squash you're growing in is. Is it like a? There's just several different types, and there's actually more than that. But so, example, like a acorn squash and spaghetti squash can cross. They're in the same family. But a spaghetti squash and acorn squash are not going to cross pollinate with any type of butternut squash you grow or honey nut squash. They're in a different family, but they could cross with certain types of pumpkins because, we call them pumpkins. In some parts of the world, they just call them winter squash, which is really more effective what they are, because there's pumpkins that are in literally in every different family of squash there basically is. So do keep that in mind if you're saving seeds from squash. If you're growing things next to each other in the same family, I really wouldn't save the seeds from it, because there's a high chance those seeds have been cross-pollinated. You're going to get something totally different. And actually have a video on that of a acorn spaghetti squash hybrid I have, and the monster plant that it produced, but not worth something worth growing. So anyway, let's go to another one, and that is the Masque de Provence pumpkin. This is, first of all, it looks really cool in this nice wedge shape. Nice medium orange pumpkin, 20 pounds fairly easily. Really rich, nice orange color. They'll continue to cure after you pick them and get even more orange, kind of like a bronzy color on the outside. They have a really good shelf life, very rich, deep orange on the inside. They make fantastic pumpkin pie. That's pretty much to do with. The thing about pumpkin pie is, there's an example right there. So that's the family right there of your squash. So all your squash are always going to be that. But then this moschata, and then there's a maxima, and then there's a pepo, etc. So you want to make sure if you're growing stuff that are in the same family, the chances of them crossing pollinating are fairly high. So great, like I say, you can make soup with this too. Make really good soup. Pumpkin soup or something. You can use a butternut. You can roast it just like a butternut. But it makes really good pumpkin pie. But the thing is it really doesn't take a whole lot of pumpkin to make pumpkin pie. Like this one of these can make a lot of pies. And then one for going for fun. This is a hybrid. This is just a decorative pumpkin that's pure white, and that's the polar bear pumpkin. Good size. Once again, I just talked about how this isn't a maxima. I think this is the only one that have in the maxima, so it couldn't cross-pollinate with these other varieties I'm growing, but you couldn't save the seeds from this anyway, because this is a hybrid and you wouldn't get the same thing anyway. Big white pumpkins can get 30, 40, 50 pounds if you're great at growing them, but pretty easy to get in the 20-pound range. Is pure white pumpkins for decorative use is what they're for, not for eating. Companion plant. So borage. I've never grown it before. It's a flower. It's actually edible. You can eat both the flowers and the leaves. Actually talks a little bit right here. Starlight flowers can be frozen ice for summer drinks. Flowers and cucumber flavored leaves are tasty, and salad super stays attractive and green long into the fall. And readily self-sows. A favorite for the bees. Germination code 1. And this brand just has different germination codes on the back based on the seeds. They're just trying to keep the seed packets, I guess, fairly simple. But anyway, they say borage can repel certain pests, and they say it can help repel squash bugs. But the evidence isn't that great on it. And I found a lot of this companion planting thing to be, frankly, horse manure, and it's just people's basically placebo effect. People think it's effective, and they may get a certain result, and they're like, "Oh, yep, this is why," and not necessarily true. So I'm gonna try growing it. I'm gonna plant extra squash plants and see if it reduces it. I know it's not gonna eliminate squash bugs because I have insane squash bug pressure, but I'm gonna try growing it and see how it does around the squash and see if it helps reduce the squash bugs. And if it does, I'll grow it again. And if I'm just like, well, I still have to do just as much work because of the squash bugs, this is a waste of space and time, I'm not going to grow it again after that. So anyway, that covers all of the squash I'm growing for 2025 season, winter and summer. Of course, the only summer squash in there is the zucchini. The rest are technically all winter squash. And until next time, I hope y'all have a good day.